All right, buddy, you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. We're going live right now.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody, welcome in. We are the Sports Hounds, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Never stops here at A2D Radio. We got it all covered. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. If you miss anything, download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iOvertalk. Right in here. Aria, public adjusting. Do you have damage to your home or property? We made it 43364. We are also brought to you by BOAGGIO'S, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatball. Mention A2D Radio for your 10% off in-store purchase. We're also brought to you by, of course, our doc, make them yours too, Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, conveniently specialized physical. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got NFL free agency, World Baseball Classic, a do-or-die game for the United States tonight, 10 o'clock against Canada. Absolute disaster last night. Don't know what the roster was doing. But for their lives, pretty much playing for their lives here at 10 o'clock from Arizona against Team Canada's got some sluggers. We got some MLB news and notes we'll get to towards the back end of the show. But, Brad, the NFL is king. NFL free agent legal tampering, the oxymoron legal tampering period has begun. The Eagles have gotten raided. Hargrave, Niner. Marcus Epps is a Raider. Andre is missing one. Bears. By the we're fully 3-9-1 for Brad. The Eagles off season. All right, so the Eagles' whole offseason is predicated, Brad, on a Jalen Hurts extension. And that's going to be – you can't hear me at all?
No, we're good now. I can hear you now.
All right. Technical difficulties, a little weather going on here in the Northeast. We apologize for that. But, Brad, the entire Eagles offseason is predicated on how much cap space the Eagles are going to have to eat up with a Jalen Hurts extension, which is going to be a lot of money considering the Jimmy Garoppolo deal, $37.5 guaranteed, the Derek Carr extension, $40 million, Dan Jones, Geno Smith, all in that $40 million, closer to $50 million range. So that brings us to our question today. Jalen Hurts will end up taking a cheaper deal this offseason. Brad, I'll kick it to you because I got a lot of feelings on this topic. Do you think Jalen Hurts is going to take a cheaper deal, take a team-friendly deal so they can build this thing back up and get back to the Super Bowl?
No, I don't. I think all these guys are
Right.
after the Do-Re-Mi money. I'm just being honest, Rob. You know, they all want to get paid. So when you say a hometown discount, I mean, what are we talking about here? Are you talking about instead of making $55 million, he takes $50 million or $45 million? Or that would be my question. How much are we talking about?
I mean, I don't see how you can pay an agent like he pays an agent, unlike Lamar Jackson. And I think that's why Lamar Jackson's in the situation he is right now, is because he doesn't have an agent.
Yeah,
He's
his
a
mother's
moron.
his agent. His mother's his agent.
That's a terrible, and he's paying. He's gonna pay for it dearly.
Yeah,
But Jalen Hurts he's got strong representation. Like it like is he gonna get a fully guaranteed deal like Deshaun Watson did?
No, I don't think he will. I think, look, if he gets the kind of deal, say, Jones gets, except with some more money, that would probably be more realistic. Jones took a Jones. I mean, I heard his contract, 4 years, $160 million, but keep in mind, 80 is guaranteed, and his cap hit this year is only 19. Next year, I think it's 26. Year 3, which, by the way, the last 2 years are the Giants can pick up the option for the last 2 years, are 46, and I can't remember the rest of it, how much the rest of it was, but that's going to be the key right there. Is they're going to keep their cap under control so they can work out a deal with Barkley. I don't know what the answer is with Hurts. Whether as far as a team friendly deal, what would you consider a team friendly deal?
Well, I would like to see nothing fully. I want nothing fully guaranteed. That's really as bold as I'm willing to go as far as like preventing him from getting as much money as he
you got to give him something guaranteed. I mean, that's not
no doubt.
But I mean, like, what do you want guaranteed? Like, if you're
Jones got 80,
right?
He should get what, 150 guaranteed?
Yeah, probably 120. I think 120 is about right. You figure 4 years, 200 million, right? And about 120 guaranteed, maybe 130 guaranteed.
I mean, the team-friendly option is to extend out the years and backload it so you can just restructure it like Howie Roseman always does. Okay.
Well, listen, if he's willing to do that, I mean, a lot of these guys don't care as long as the bottom line for them is the bottom line. As long as there's a lot of guaranteed money, they know they can't lose that. So in that regard, they might. It's every guy is different. You know that. He's going to cost the Eagles a lot of money. There's no way to get around that. I mean, he's earned it with the year he had last year. Now, the only question is, I don't think that they should pay it all for him right now. I think if they're going to sign him to a deal, they should wait till after June 1st when there's money coming off the books.
They might do that.
Yeah, that's when I would consider doing it, but they're not under any obligation to do it this year anyway.
They're not under obligation. Yes, you're right, because they can make him play out his rookie contract. But if I'm Jalen Hurts and you're making me play on an expiring rookie contract, guess what I'm doing if I'm Jalen Hurts? I ain't showing up.
Well, I don't know if
that's how I would play it.
Yeah, but I don't know if he would actually do that. I think
he probably won't. He seems like a good kid.
Yeah, I don't think he would do that. But
a much kinder soul than me. I would be ruthless. If I were a pro athlete, I would be absolutely fucking ruthless when it came to contract negotiations.
Most of these guys are. I mean, that's just that's how the game's played.
Like if I were a coach, I would never coach. I wouldn't coach. I would say either extend me or fire me. If I were a player, I would say either extend me or trade me. So that's where I'm at.
That's kind of what happened. That's kind of what happened with Slay. Well,
Slay, they need to find a partner so they can get his money off the books. So it looks like only one of C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay is going to be on this roster next year. I'd be very surprised at this point if both are.
Well, I'll tell you who I think is more likely to get signed as a free agent is going to be Gary Johnson. That he's more. I think he's more in demand. I think a lot of teams are interested in him.
Well, he's 25 as opposed to Slay's 32. I mean, 30 is kind of the cutoff for cornerbacks where they start going downhill. Maybe even before that, you could argue. And Slay's 32.
Elite ones especially. I mean, there are some that age pretty well.
I mean, I think Slay can cover in this league still.
Oh, he absolutely can. He's still he's not going to be the best player in the league like he was, with Detroit as far as coverage, but he's still going to be probably a top 10 corner.
I mean, the problem with him in his old age, I don't know if the playmaking ability, the interceptions, the turnovers, the pick sixes, I don't know if they're going to be there as much. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's 25 years old, missed 5 games last year, and still led the league in interceptions. So, yes, you're correct. I mean, Jesse Bates, that expensive safety for Atlanta, he's now on Atlanta. He was on Cincinnati.
Right. He got signed.
He got 4 or 5 years, $65 million.
Have you noticed how much the offensive tackles are getting? Ridiculous. These guys are really getting paid.
I mean, everything's up. Everything's up. If you want to build your team in free agency, that's why it's so important to draft well, you're going to pay through the nose.
Yeah, you can't build a team through free agency. You can only patch up holes. If you try to build a team through free agency, it's going to take up so much of your salary cap. That's tough to do.
You're going to be the Rams.
Yeah.
You're going to have a 3-year window to get it done, and either you're going to get it done or you're not.
Yeah, and
now
they got
Ramsey's gone, and Bobby Wagner's gone, and Stafford's old, and they don't have Odell anymore, who was a big part of getting them to the Super Bowl. They don't really have a running attack. Some of their offensive linemen are really old now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, look, they got their Super Bowl, so their fans can't complain. Now they're going to have to put up with a few years of rebuilding. That's just the way. That's the NFL, and that's how it goes. When you start dipping into free agency, if you dip too deep, you get burned, and you can't do that.
But I hope they find the money for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I hope they work something out with Slay. I would love to have Darius Slay back. Pair him up with a young corner. You have 2 first-round picks. This is where Howie's smart. He realized he was going to have to pay his quarterback, if he was right about the pick, which he was, a boatload of money this year. So he has 2 first-round picks. He's got extra picks next year. So the onus is on Howie to draft well to make this thing okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get pillaged. You know that they can't. There's no way they can keep all these guys. The saving grace is, for the most part, their offense is pretty much is pretty much signed.
Right, but the offense. And Jason Kelce is coming back next year.
Yes, he is. And I mean, as far as that's concerned, your offense is concerned, you should be fine. There shouldn't be any kind of a drop off at all next year.
So you have 10 out of 11 starters pretty much set. They are set. The only thing you don't know about is running back.
Yeah, big deal.
Offensively, running back, it game well. They're going to sign someone. They're going to draft someone. I don't know. You can roll the tape on how I feel about Miles Sanders. I even if he takes a cheap team-friendly deal, I don't really want him back. I don't think he's that great.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to spend a lot of money. I think somebody's going to spend a lot of money on him. I think they're going to make a big mistake, quite honestly.
Right. I think when you overpay Miles Sanders,
he's a product of almost a perfect team. I mean, last year you had a great offensive line, a quarterback that's very dangerous and can run the ball, so you had to pay attention to him. And you had outstanding receivers. So, of course, he's good. If you put him on an average team with an average offensive line, I don't think he's going to do all that much. I mean, it's not like he's that special of a player that he can do that. It's not like he's that guy on the Seahawks that can go nothing, and then get a 40-yard run. You know who I'm talking. I just can't remember his name.
Oh, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, a guy like that. He's not Barkley. He's not like one of those guys. I'm not saying he's a good player, but I think he's more a product of the fact that just how good the Eagles are, as why he did so well. I think you put any decent running back in that position on that team, they're going to be highly successful. I just think that's a fact, and you could probably get a decent running back, with like your third or fourth round pick if that's where you wanted to go.
Yeah, you could pick up
plug him in. You could plug him in, and he'd probably be a really good player, and give you everything Sanders has, and not be as beat up.
I mean, another thing Howie Roseman's really good at is right before training camp, between that June 1st deadline and the start of training camp, Howie's really good at scavenging the market and picking up scraps. James Bradbury, LeGarrette Blount, Patrick Robinson, just to name a few.
Yeah, he's always been able to do that, but he's also lately, and until this year, he's always had a lot of cap space to work with. Again, he's going to probably cut a few guys after June 1st to gain extra cap space so he can do stuff like that. And there are guys that come available June 1st. I mean, they may not be the on the top shelf, but there's still, you can get a lot of guys, on the trash heap that'll fit in and plug in to your system and play very well if you're astute enough to do it. And he definitely is astute enough to do it. He's proven it in the past.
I think he actually has more cap space than people realize.
Well, you got the extra $16 million from the cap going up, and then he had some cap space to begin with. But again, it's tough because there's not that much to go around. You're going to have to, now that Kelsey is going to play again, you're going to have to pay him.
Right, he wasn't, and they will, and they picked, Brandon Graham took an extreme hometown discount to stay in Philadelphia. 1 year, $6 million. He could have gotten way more than that.
Yeah, and I can understand Brandon Graham doing it because Brandon Graham's been here forever and he loves playing here. So I can't blame him for that. He's made a lot of money in his career already. It's not like he hasn't made his money already. See, guys that have already made their money, they're more likely to take a hometown discount than a guy who's just making his first contract. Usually, not always, but usually those kind of guys want to try to get as much as they possibly can on the first contract, and then after that, the rest is gravy. So, I mean, we'll see. It all depends on what you consider a hometown discount. I mean, he's not going to take $35 million a year. That he's not going to do. He's going to want top dollar, and he should want top dollar.
Look, there's only 3 quarterbacks in the league that I would trade Jalen Hurts for. That's Mahomes, Burrow, and Herbert. You can have Josh Allen. You can have Sunshine down there in Jacksonville, Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Cousins, Prescott, all that trash. You can have all that. I'll take Jalen.
I take Allen over Jalen every day of the week, but that's just a different flavor.
No.
But that's just my opinion. But again, he's still one of the top quarterbacks.
He kind of falters in big games.
Does he though?
I mean, we could put, Allen
this year against the Bengals he faltered. But what did he do wrong against Kansas City the year before? He's not the one that blew a lead when he scored and got a field goal with 13 seconds to go in the game, and the defense went and let him down.
Didn't win.
Yeah, but that's not his fault.
Winning's a skill. And yeah, you can look at it.
Scoring 3 points with 13 seconds to go, it should be enough time to win a game.
Should.
Yeah,
you can have him. I'm taking Jalen.
Yeah, I would take Allen 100 times out of 100. I completely disagree with you on that. But anyway,
but the clock's ticking because you need to pay Jalen before Joe
either
Burrow
way.
and Justin Herbert get their money. So it's never going to be cheaper unless, God forbid, something bad happens to Jalen from a health standpoint. It's never going to get cheaper to extend Jalen Hurts than right now because the prices are going to skyrocket when two players who I think are better than Jalen are about to get their bags full of cash. So it's a tough spot because you have to look. I would imagine they go defense in the draft and build it up with young guys, and hopefully you hit. You got two guys that hopefully can play that you picked last year.
Rob, you have a top 10 draft pick, and the first 4 picks are going to be quarterbacks. So that means you should get one of the top. If you figure the next 7 players, or rather the next 6 players, you got to probably figure 2 or 3 of them will be offensive linemen or defensive linemen. You know, you have a chance to get one of the top 3 players in another position. You know, in the entire college football in that spot. So you're kind of sitting pretty. You don't need a quarterback. You definitely don't need an offensive lineman. That's for sure. Do you need a defensive lineman? Yeah, you probably could use one. Definitely could use a linebacker. You might need a middle linebacker too. If I were them, I'd be going for a corner. That's where I would
you need
go.
Someone to. Because the only person right now guaranteed to be on this team next year is your nickel corner, Avonte Maddox, who's good, but you can't build a secondary around a nickel corner.
No, you got to get another. That's how I would spend. I would spend the 10th pick. I would try if there's a corner that's worth, that kind of a pick. That's where I would go. I mean, do you agree with that?
I mean sure, but if a quarterback's there at 10, you can trade. Like, I don't know. I know people love their mock drafts and love to talk about the drafts. I'm kind of like, my mentality with the draft is like, cool. When they pick, I'll look them up and I'll see if I heard of them or I saw them play or anything. Like, nobody knows what they're going to do. Anyone who says they know what they're going to do is a liar.
Listen, Howie could trade back and get more draft capital too.
I think that's a likely scenario.
I mean, he could probably get 2 first-round picks for a 10th round pick.
Like, just send the bus to Athens, Georgia, University of Georgia, pick some guys up, send the bus over to Tuscaloosa, pick another handful of guys up, and then ship it right on back to the NovaCare complex in South Philadelphia. That's how I feel about the draft.
That's pretty accurate. And then you could have him make a couple of stops at LSU while you're coming back, and
maybe be like a comedian on tour.
Right.
Just hit all the stops down south, and then
maybe
send them back up.
Maybe check out Tennessee and see if there's a couple of players down there you might want.
I do like that corner. I know I said I just wasn't going to geek out about the draft. I do like that corner from Illinois, Witherspoon.
Yeah, and he might be in the top 10. And if Howie thinks he's good enough, I think Howie, if he picks out of the 10 hole, if there's a cornerback worthy of being a 10, I think that's where he's going to go.
I think that'd be a smart pick. As long as they go defense, no one can really complain for 3 years because defense is this team's need, and it takes 2-3 years to evaluate guys right after their pick. Very rarely, you had Sauce Gardner last year. Do these guys step in and make big time immediate impacts?
It's hard. It's hard to do that. Usually it's year 3 that they really come in, and especially the defensive players that they come in and all of a sudden they're. It took Dexter Lawrence 3 years to be, one of the top players in his position.
I mean, Andrew Thomas, you picked him like
Andrew
second
Thomas,
overall.
Yeah, and you know what? It took him.
He's getting killed.
It took him 3 seasons. This was his 3rd year, and look at him this year. He was he a second team All Pro or first team?
I don't know. I don't have that in front of me, but
I think he was
really
a second
good.
team. I think he was a second team All Pro this year. That's what you want to do. But that's usually how long it takes linemen to get there. But, I mean, with with corners, it depends. If they're really fast, usually then it doesn't matter. They'll adjust. If they're not that fast but they're big, that those are the ones that are projects that take a couple of years to really learn.
I don't want the word project
No, you
anywhere
can't.
near anyone my team picks in any of the sports. Don't want a project. Baseball a little different because it doesn't matter if you have a prodigy or not. They're going to they got to go through the minors and all that. But
Right.
NFL, NBA, I don't want the word project near.
Well,
anyone.
NBA you could stick in the G League for a couple of years. I mean, if they're not going to be able to make a contract, if you think a guy is a good player but he's not going to be able to get playing time with you, you can get him and stick him in the G League for a couple of years and let him develop.
All right, Brad.
That's a little different.
We are for the people, by the people here at A2D Radio. Let's get to our comments. Comments brought to you by eXp Realty. Looking to buy or sell a home, looking to change for a change in career brokerage. Contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty, 302-682-8820. That's the phone number. Visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Tell him the Hound sent you. Big basketball guy, Mr. Foy there. Ryan Swoop's in the house.
Hey, Swoopy.
Yeah, I do like this hat. It's my favorite hat. It's my show hat. It's got the Sixers when hip hop was the mascot, not that goon Franklin they have now. And then if you see on the side here, I paid like an extra $10 to have. Let's see if I can get it. The Iverson logo. So yeah, my hat's fire. And my hair sucks, so I like wearing a hat. To BOAGGIO'S, do they have hoagies or cheesesteaks? BOAGGIO'S is they have the finest meats and cheeses in all the land. Anything you could want, they have, and anything you could want is fire. So go check them out. Go in the store so you get that 10% off. Tell them we sent you. Breaking news. I mean, we knew that before. Marcus Epps, starting safety. He's on the Raiders now. This is what happens when you're good. You get rated.
Yeah,
your coaches get rated. Your players get rated, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why it's when you make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's so hard to stay there because once you're there, everybody wants your players. Because even if you're not that good, they all want your players, and everybody's going to pay them top dollar, and it's hard. It's really hard. You have to manage a cap, and yeah, it went up this year, but still, for the money these guys are making now, these guys are starting to get NBA type salaries. So you really have to be a sharp drafter.
Raj, Dillard, Epps, TJ Hargraves, who's next? So we'll repeat it again. Dillard's on the Titans, Epps on the Raiders, TJ's on the Bears. Javon Hargraves goes to the Niners.
The Niners also lost a guy too.
They lost their offensive lineman, McGlinchey.
Yeah,
he's a good player for them.
Yeah, they lost someone, so that's kind of the money went somewhere else.
Well, they got him. I mean, he's a good player. That's a good pickup for them.
I know. I'm just saying though, they lost McGlinchey though. That's a big loss.
And the Niners. I mean, they've been not paying a quarterback for years now.
Yeah, and Garoppolo, by the way, is now a Las Vegas Raider.
Reunited with Josh McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
I like that fit a lot. They lost They lost a lot of close games last year, the Raiders.
Yeah, and
they never have a good defense.
No. That's. What do you think of Carr going to the Raiders? I mean, to the Saints.
I mean, my opinion of Derek Carr hasn't changed. He's free to prove me wrong.
He had a couple of good years this year. Just this past year, though, the Raiders defense just let him down every single game.
And then we're still on Aaron Rodgers' watch.
Well, from what I heard, that deal's done. they're just
Well, they need the King's approval.
right. But that's a done deal. As soon as he says go, then it's done.
I think Aaron Rodgers should go back into the cave he went in on his little retreat and just stay there.
Well, I'll tell you
That's what I think about Aaron Rodgers at this point.
If he ends up with the Jets, which it looks like he will,
he's going to melt.
That AFC East is going to be real tough. I mean, you're going to have 3 outstanding football teams in that division. I like the Jalen
Jalen Ramsey? He went to the Dolphins.
Deal. Yeah, I like that. I like that deal. And boy, how fun are those? How fun is it going to be with him and Hill every day practicing against each other?
It's going to be really fun. They're going to be a really good team next year. Tua's health pending.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be very, very interesting.
The Dolphins did sign Mike White, formerly of the Jets, today to back up Tua.
He's okay as a backup. That's about all he is.
Well, he's probably going to play a couple games based on Tua's history.
Yeah, but he's proven he could step in. He could step in for a game or two and be effective. I wouldn't want him to be out there for every game because, as he showed last year, he can't play every game, and he's also brittle because he always seems to get hurt. But he can show up for a couple of games and get you over the hump for a couple of games. That's for sure.
Raj, how do you tell, in reference to Lamar Jackson, how do you tell your mom, I have to fire you, Mom? It's easy. First off, he's an idiot because you shouldn't mix business and family like that. Stupid. There's too many millions and millions of dollars at stake, and you need a third party.
There's only one guy that I ever knew, one athlete I ever knew, who had his father negotiating his contract for him. Okay, but his father was a lawyer, so that was Mark Messier. But again, his father is a lawyer, I should say, and that's a little different. But other than that, I mean,
so first off, his mom is not
idea.
Mrs. Jackson. With all due respect, I don't want to disrespect anyone's mama here on the show, but with all due respect, Mrs. Jackson, your son can sign anywhere in the league, and there's no good quarterbacks across the league, relatively speaking, and none of these teams are interested in you.
And there's only one reason for that. You want too much money. You've priced yourself out of the NFL right now. The only team that wants you right now is the Ravens because they franchised you. So if you play,
I don't think he can go back there, Brad.
You know what? I don't know. I think he can always go back.
Unless he gets his full quote, I don't think he can go back there because then he's going to look weak. Him and his mama are going to look weak. I think he's done in Baltimore.
I don't know. I don't think he is. I mean, he can always go back.
Yeah, I would check out. He's very
popular. Yeah, but he's very popular with that fan. The fan base loves him, though.
I mean, that's all well and good, but the guy signing the check has had 8 months to get this done, and it's not done.
Lamar hasn't exactly, been very forthcoming with his demands or reasonable with his demands. I mean,
not publicly. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but that's his mom's fault.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have his mom. And listen, no disrespect either from me for Mrs. Jackson about negotiating her son's contract, but you know what? At this point, you're hurting your son's career. You should really let a professional handle it. Not too many athletes let their parents do the negotiating for them because generally it gets totally out of hand. I mean, there aren't too many Mark Messiers in this world that can go to his father. I mean, David Robertson, who's pitched for you guys and us, he used to negotiate his own contract. Some guys actually do that, but it's a tough thing to do because you get caught up in the it gets very personal at that point. So I never thought that was a good idea.
Remember the Lindros saga here in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah, that was a mess.
That was a mess because Mr. Lindros and Mr. Bobby Clark, who was the GM at the time, Didn't see eye to eye on anything. Nothing.
No.
And Lindros kept getting hurt, and that's really what derailed it. I think if Lindros were more healthy throughout his career, that would have been ended different.
Yeah,
but
well, that was. I mean, but isn't Jackson the same thing though? The last couple of years, what has he played? 50% of the games.
I'd have to look it up, but I mean, he missed.
He hasn't been
a handful of games last year for sure. They probably would have won a playoff game. They probably would have beat Cincinnati if they had Lamar Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
They gave Cincinnati everything they could handle in that football game.
Yeah, and you know what they made? They made that horrible play on when they were on the 2-yard line. They made that horrible play where the quarterback reached out to try to get a touchdown. It got knocked out, and then Cincinnati returned it for a touchdown. I mean that was a crazy swing in momentum, and still Baltimore almost beat them.
Cheaper deal. Tom Arnone, he disagrees. They had a big free agency show this afternoon. Check that out. Stream it up wherever you get your podcast.
Are we talking about cheaper deal for Jalen? Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's the poll. That's for the poll.
Okay.
Blue City Empire, New York Giants have signed linebacker Bobby
Okereke. Yeah,
Okereke.
that's the guy. That's the guy I just mentioned.
Okay.
At the top of the show.
Don't know much about him.
Yeah, he had 153 tackles as an inside linebacker for the Colts.
Okay.
And I think he's 25 years old, and he plays inside linebacker. And you put him and Lawrence together, that should be a pretty formidable combination.
He's one person, so Jalen's one person. I could see doing that. His attitude is amazing. We'll see how good his attitude is when it comes to the negotiating table.
Yeah, attitude is one thing, but money is quite another. The only guy that really put his money where his mouth was Brady.
And that's because he had a wife that was making $1 bajillion.
Exactly.
Being a supermodel.
Right. And and even when he left New England, he made sure he got paid.
Like, don't you like the kid? Like, the fans should want him to get paid. The fans should want him to get his homage. Like, don't you like the guy? Don't you think he's good?
Yeah,
good players cost money.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
Exactly. The only thing is, though, and it's unfortunate, but it takes away from the team when they get paid. You can't sign a bunch of free agents. But you gotta remember, if you have a franchise quarterback that's that good, it's going to cost a lot of money. That's why they have a salary cap.
Especially when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard and pretty much an entire offensive line locked up for years to come. Like, the sky's the limit for this offense. Is the defense going to be able to match him? I don't know. We'll see. Howie's got some work to do, but I have every faith that Howie Roseman will right the ship, get some guys in here, and the Eagles will have a fantastic team on defense and offense next year. Why didn't the Eagles sign Hargrave to 4 years? They signed him to a 3-year deal. They'd have him for 1 year.
They couldn't afford him.
I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent. I mean, the Niners.
The Niners paid him $20 million a year, didn't they?
Yeah,
it was 4 for $80, I think.
Yeah, it's $84 million total. I didn't see the guarantee.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 for $80 or something like that. But I don't know what the guaranteed money is, but still, I mean, that the Eagles weren't going to pay him that much money.
No, you picked Jordan Davis with the 13th pick in the draft.
Yeah, you're
not paying that $20 million a year for a defensive tackle when you just picked one in the first round that you can have for cheaper. Jordan Davis has got to do his part and be a stud, which he has the tools to do because he's from the SEC and Georgia.
You have to play him. I mean,
he's
that's how you build a team. Yeah, he's got to start. That's the way it is.
Don 19 is in the house. Cam Sutton, really good corner from
That wasn't good.
the Steelers.
Yeah, that was a really good.
That's
I'll
the
tell you
low
what,
key.
Detroit's going to win that division next year. Unless Minnesota can. I mean, Minnesota hasn't done anything to improve their defense.
Well, no, because here's why Minnesota is going to regress. Because Minnesota won every close game, got every bounce. Like the Bills handed that game to them. They had a negative point differential. And
I know they did. They were what?
12,
they were 13-3 or 11-5. No, they were 12-5 and had a negative point total.
That's impossible to repeat.
Yeah, no, it's not sustainable.
And then they get Cam Sutton from the Steelers. That's the low-key flex signing of the day, Cam Sutton.
Yeah, and you know what? Detroit's offense was outstanding, and their defense was getting better as the season went along. And now they can make improvements on defense. They get another draft. They should be right there. Yeah, I can't imagine Green Bay is going to be terrible next year because Rodgers is going to be gone.
Are you sure about that?
The Bears
wake up tomorrow and say, "I want to stay in Green Bay."
Nah, he won't. I think he's pretty good. The Packers don't want him. He's got nowhere else to go but New York. That's the problem. All the other teams that quarterback needy teams have made their move except for the Jets. So he's kind of stuck now. Either he goes to the Jets or he retires. And I don't think he's going to retire.
He's going to melt so hard in New York. It's going to be hilarious. I feel bad for the Jets fans.
Oh, come on. I don't think
he's going to get twisted up by that media. He's not going to know which end is up. He's going to start being a weirdo. You start 1-3 with expectations in New York, and you go up there and you tell everyone to relax, you're going to get shredded by the fans, by the media, maybe even by your teammates.
It's a little different in New York. I think he's smart enough to realize that, though.
I think he's so far gone from reality, Aaron Rodgers. He's such a diva and such a douchebag that I don't think he does.
Okay. Well, you might be right. I mean, he is a weirdo. There's no getting around that, but I think he's going to have a pretty good, if he's going to play with the Jets, they're going to be awfully good. Listen, you remember who their quarterback was last year. Couldn't get any worse than that. I mean, he was terrible.
Ramon Nichols, that's got to be a troll. That's got to be a troll comment. Hurts isn't better than Dak. I guess he is. Dak Prescott stinks.
Dak Prescott had a really bad year this year.
The guy missed 6 weeks and led the league in interceptions. And had every opportunity to beat the San Francisco 49ers on the road. And just like the Cowboys do, they fold up and they melt away. Dak Prescott, if they don't restructure that might be the worst contract in not only NFL history, professional sports history. That's god-awful that he could be cashing.
Rob, wait a minute. As far as sports history, Chris Davis on the Orioles has that one.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, that's locked up. I mean, nothing could be worse than that one.
Yeah, Brian Wilson. I guess he likes Devin Witherspoon from Illinois as well. Cool. Let's sign him up.
He probably will be available for you guys too at 10.
Ryan, no, I am not picking a running back in the first round. Absolutely not. Bijan Robinson looks like he's going to be a pretty good player. Maybe there's others. Gibbs, Alabama.
You can get good running backs in the third and fourth round in most drafts. You don't have to get a running back. You don't necessarily have to get the best running back in the country to play for you. You know, running backs don't.
We made Miles Sanders look like Walter Payton last year with our scheme and our offensive line, and Miles Sanders stinks. So yeah, I'm very confident you can find someone in the second, third, fourth round that can come in and rip off some yards at least.
Yeah.
Brian Daly, your hockey happy hour mate.
My co-host. Yes, my mate. Yes.
I'm going to agree. It's not that he's worth the money because he is. I'm hoping he takes a cheaper deal to keep pieces here in Philly. A lot of those pieces are already gone.
That's what I think, and that's a very intelligent way to put it. And I think a lot I think I don't think a lot of people really are upset that if he takes a gets a big contract. I think they're just would be upset that they can't sign more free agents. I think that's the whole point. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's personal at all when it comes to him getting paid. I don't think there's a fan in Philly that would actually deny him.
Brad. I would be a GM's worst nightmare if I was actually good at sports to that level, and I was about to get me a fat bag for playing sports. I would be a nightmare.
Yeah, I would want every dollar.
All up front, guaranteed, no trade, everything.
Well, you got to get.
If you ask for the stars, if you ask for the stars, Brad, and you only reach the moon, you're doing pretty good, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's kind of what Lamar Jackson's doing right now.
I think his mom. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I think his mom has managed him right out of the league.
Yeah, I think there is, but there does come a point where you have to be realistic, though.
I do. I don't know if I said it on air or off air or who I said it to, but I do think Atlanta is the team to watch for Lamar.
Yeah, you know what? That would be a pretty good fit.
It's indoor. They play on turf. They have pretty good offensive line. Actually, an underrated offensive line if you look at the advanced analytics, which I don't, but people tell me.
Yeah.
They traded for a tight end today, Jonnu Smith, who didn't work out in New England. Jackson loves his tight ends. They have Kyle Pitts, who they picked, fifth in the draft.
Yeah, but he's
a couple years ago.
Though.
He's been a bust with Marcus. I mean,
he hasn't.
We'll see. I mean, Andrew Thomas was bad.
Thomas
was disappointing.
I know.
Tight ends seem to never work out at the top of the draft.
No,
never.
You're right. And from what I've heard, this draft, as far as tight ends go, is very deep.
Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah. I was watching him today.
I was watching.
By the way.
Yeah, I was watching the NFL. I was watching the NFL Network for a while today. I was sick as a dog last night, and I was watching NFL today on the NFL Network, and yeah, they were talking about that. Also, who's the guy? Austin Hooper, is that his name? The tight end. He just asked for a trade.
What's he on the Titans?
Yeah, he's pretty good. But obviously, he's not too.
He's better than Jonnu Smith, but they only gave up a 7th round pick for Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I mean they got him for next to nothing. So yeah, I mean, look, if you want a tight end, draft one.
Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah said you can get a immediate starter in the 5th round.
Yeah,
tight end in this draft.
They were saying that today. Yeah,
because I know the kid from Notre Dame's good, Matt Mayer, and the kid from Utah is good, Kincaid.
Well, that's why Schultz hasn't been signed yet. The free agent tight end from Dallas. He's a good player, but you can use draft equity to get somebody like him and spend at a different position. Yeah, I think Schultz isn't going to get the money he's hoping for. That's for sure.
It doesn't sound like it's going to come from Dallas.
Nope.
Chargers would be an interesting tight end spot. Give Herbert a tight end.
So it's Seattle, and so would the Giants. Giants could use a tight end.
The Giants need every freaking
receiver they can get.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they just re-signed Sterling Shepard for the league minimum, but how many games is he going to play?
Yeah.
He can't stay healthy, so I don't even count him. I mean, he's league minimum, so they need to go out and get a couple. I think they need to get a number one receiver and a good tight end. I mean, Schultz would be a great fit with the Giants.
Brian Swoop Rogers will be one and done in New York. I completely agree. He's going to go there. He's going to fail, and hopefully he'll just melt away so we don't have to deal with him. Guy hijacks the whole NFL offseason every year. I might want to play. I might not. I'm going to go microdose COVID and go in a cave for a week, and I'll see how I feel.
Yeah, going into the bat cave.
Yeah, he went on like a hiking trip and like didn't bring his phone, so that's a darkness retreat.
Yeah, whatever. He's a weirdo.
Detroit for Lamar Jackson, Ryan Swoop. I don't know, man. Jared Goff's pretty good.
Goff is the best quarterback in that division now.
Yeah, you're going Goff over Kirk.
Yes.
Do the Giants trade for DeAndre Hopkins, Brad?
That depends on what the Cardinals want.
I mean, they can't. I mean, what could they want?
Well, if they're asking for a first or a second round pick, the answer is no.
I mean, Jalen Ramsey, who's a top 3 corner in the league, just got traded for a 3rd round pick and a backup tight end.
So
DeAndre Hopkins is not nearly as valuable as Jalen Ramsey.
No. But DeAndre Hopkins to the Giants could be as valuable as Jalen Ramsey because the Giants don't have a receiver like that. The only problem with him is he's another one that's always getting hurt. So you're kind of taking a big chance, even if you're getting him for nothing because you still have to pay him. So I guess the question is, what is Hopkins making? What is Hopkins making right now? I think he's only making like 11 mil. So that would be a good trade for the Giants. I would get him if I
don't know. I don't have his
if we could, I would listen. If they could get him for like a 4th or a 5th round pick, yeah, I would do it. Why not?
I mean, I don't see it. He's only 30. I thought he was older than that. Receivers, they can play for days.
Yeah, they can.
DeAndre Hopkins signed a 2-year, $54 million contract with the Arizona Cardinals, including a $27.5 million signing bonus, annual salary of whatever, $27 a year.
Yeah, but I think if he went to the Giants would only be responsible for like $11 million. I think I read that somewhere. That's why I'm saying it would cost them like $11 million for him against their cap, and they have the room to bring him in.
So it looks like next year's base is 19 mil. He's a $30 million cap hit, so he's probably not going to go anywhere.
Oh, for them,
right?
For the Cardinals.
Isn't that how it's?
Yeah,
sorry,
well, the
dead cap hit of $22.6 million.
No, they're not going to trade him then.
That doesn't make sense, right?
No, not at all. How much are they saving on the cap? $5 million, and then have a $22 million cap hit? Nah, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Nah, I mean, he's still a very good player. He's still a very useful player. I mean, if your guy is useless like Kenny Galladay, yeah, then you do something. Then you do something like that. Which, by the way, the Giants are doing. So they'll have what is it, $6-7 extra $1 million on Wednesday to play with. So.
Looking at the Jesse Bates deal, how much you think CJ gets? I mean, there's the framework right there. He's probably going to get a little bit more. I think he's a better player, had a better season. Jesse Bates is damn good, so that's probably pretty close to what he's going to get.
That's a good call, Don. He's right on the money. So can the Eagles pay that for him? I don't know. The problem is they're going to have to pay Hurts, so they got to be careful about what they're
but Hurts would be an extension.
No, I understand that, but
so it won't kick in till next offseason.
Right, but still, the next year they're still going to have to pay Hurts next year. He's not going to come back on a 1-year contract.
What do you mean? He's still on his rookie deal.
Who? Gardner Johnson?
No.
Oh, Hurts.
Hurts.
Right, but next season he's not going to be on his rookie deal.
Right, you front load it. You front load his contract, and you back load Jalen's.
I think, but still, you're still going to be talking about a lot of money. I don't know. If
he's a good player.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Secondary. Someone's going to play secondary.
I know, but I don't know if you can afford to get him when you have to pay.
Well, if they shed Slay,
then that
opens up some stuff.
Yeah, that they can do.
They're also short on linebackers too, and it seems like the general consensus among smart Eagles fans is that a cornerback in the first round is imminent.
A cornerback is also more important than a linebacker.
Oh, the Eagles never pay linebackers.
No, they pay Trotter, but that's the exception to the rule. But
no, Washington paid Trotter.
Oh yeah, that's right. He walked from.
He walked for like 2 years. He tore his ACL, and then he came back and was a stud again.
But you didn't have to pay him. Washington ended up paying him. That's right. Right. You're right.
Don 19. Eagles don't sign Adam Thielen. He's washed. Check and check. Totally agree. I don't see how Adam Thielen fits on this football team at all. Bryce Blackwell's in the house. That's not a bad name if he's cheap by Johnny. Like the Eagles signed Marvin Jones. Sure. He's better than Quez Watkins. I'm sick of watching Quez Watkins. Another thing the Eagles have to do, Brad, is they got to sign a punt returner. I'm sick of watching Britton Covey out there just fair catch the ball every.
Didn't he have a really good return against the Chiefs? Or was it against the Niners? I can't remember now.
I think he did have one in the Super Bowl, but it was like 20-yard return. Balance out all the fair catches. And Brad, he stands so far back. Like,
yeah, no, I get that.
Like, he's running up. He's running up so far that he can't do anything with the football. I get it. You don't want it to go over your head and lose field position. Clearly, they're telling him, yo, don't do anything cute and stupid. Just catch the freaking ball and let Jalen go to work. Which
that's probably, that might be the case too,
which,
Rob.
Honestly, with the way the season went last year, good strategy because Hurts was damn near the MVP. But I don't know. I just like a guy back there who can maybe turn. Like look at the freaking Kadarius Toney in the Super Bowl. That punt return changed the whole game.
Yeah, but that punt return was more the blocking than it was Toney. That blocking,
and idiot
that
Miles
blocking
Sanders
was unbelievable. I've never.
Because Miles Sanders was running around the football field with like a chicken with his head cut off. Watch the tape. He was out there at gunner, just not having no lane responsibility at all. And when Kadarius Toney cut it back across the field, Miles is supposed to be there to make the freaking tackle, and Miles Sanders wasn't anywhere to be found. I can't wait till he's on another team.
That wall got set up, and he didn't get touched until the 5-yard line. There's really not a lot of good wide receivers in the draft or available as far as.
Well, there's some guys in the draft. Free agency, no. You get guys in the draft.
Yeah, but there aren't like there's no monster receivers.
No, Justin Jefferson's not in this year's draft. CeeDee Lamb's not in this year's draft. I agree with that.
No, DK Metcalf isn't in the draft either.
Eric Kendricks got cut by Minnesota as well, and looks like they're going to cut Harrison Smith, their safety, according to Don.
Yeah, but is he any good? Kendricks was.
Used to be.
Kendricks was pretty good this past season, wasn't it?
So they're just starting over on defense. The defense that stunk, they're just getting rid of. I guess that's one way to do it.
That's probably the smart thing to do. I mean, their defense was pretty putrid.
All right, as far as the rest of the league goes, still a lot of chips to fall in free agency.
Oh, there's still a ton of them. I mean, today was the first day, and a lot of these guys have to make their trips. They are going to have their Zoom meetings yesterday, today. Wednesday. I think by Wednesday you'll really see all the chips fall, and you'll see who's going to get what, and then you'll have a good idea of what these teams are going to look like. The Commanders made some moves today.
Well, they signed Deron Payne.
Yeah, they
Big
picked
money.
up they picked up Nick Gates from the Giants, but I mean his leg is shot. I mean, when he broke his leg, he had a horrific broken leg injury with the Giants as their starting center, and then they signed Feliciano. So I don't know if there's any room for Gates to play, with the Giants at this point, because they have their center, and they're not going to pay a free agent for depth. He's not going to get that kind of money with New York, so he's now in Washington as well.
Boy, you weren't kidding with these tackles. Jawan Taylor, he's on the Chiefs.
Yeah,
now.
That's what I'm saying.
Mil.
Did you see these contracts for these tackles?
$60 million guaranteed for Jawan Taylor.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to protect. So they're basically Andy Reid's basically using the Philadelphia model, except instead of Donovan McNabb, who throws up in the Super Bowl and is unclutch, he has the best quarterback maybe ever.
Yeah, who
who
actually raises his level in a big spot in the Super Bowl.
Whereas Donovan McNabb,
Mahomes. I mean, you think about it, Rob. He was doing that on one leg. I mean, he willed that Super Bowl. He willed them that Super Bowl.
He did.
Just an incredible job.
Because Denver signed some offensive linemen too. They got McGlinchey from San Fran. $50 million guaranteed from McGlinchey. 5 years, $50 million guaranteed, and they got that guard Power from the Ravens as well. I don't know. Are they gonna bounce back? Are they gonna bounce back?
I think they got. I mean,
Sean Payton.
Well, you think so, but I mean, Russ has just got to play better. Russ was a disaster this year.
He can't play worse, can he?
No, he can't play worse than that. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up for it. Yeah, he could. I mean, we've seen some of the other quarterbacks in the league, but he's got to play better.
Then you got that Cameron Sutton to Detroit. That's 3 years, $33 million. Give him 22.5 guaranteed. That's a good signing. He's a good player. Bears signed line.
Detroit did a nice job this year so far. They're making some smart pickups. They're not going crazy. They're just making some smart pickups to fill up some holes. I don't see how they don't win their division this year.
Well, it depends how the Bears spend the rest of their cap and draft.
I think the Bears stink.
I mean, if
I know they gave up Roquan Smith and they picked somebody up now. I can't remember.
Well, they traded the first pick to Carolina.
Right, but they also signed somebody today too.
They signed Tremaine Edwards from
Buffalo,
and they signed TJ Edwards from Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a big loss for Buffalo, by the way. That's a seriously big loss for them.
Yeah, because their defense took a step back last year.
Yes, it did. I'll tell you what. If Buffalo isn't careful, they could end up in third place next season. I mean, they really could. The Jets and Miami are going to be much better teams.
Juju on it.
Yeah, I would expect those two teams to be a lot better. So,
I think the cap is fake. Where did Denver get money from? I mean, they're not paying. Who are they paying besides Russ? No one.
They're really not. Who? Yeah, really. Who are they paying?
And they signed two.
Who are they paying?
They signed 2 offensive linemen today.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not paying their receivers. Are they going to keep Jerry Jeudy, or is he going to be gone?
I don't know. Maybe your Giants can trade for him.
Well, they wanted a second-round pick, so I don't think the
Saw that
Giants are
coming.
not trading.
He's a slot
Giants are not
receiver.
going to do that. Yeah.
He's a slot receiver. Saw that coming a mile away. Coming out of the draft. Wasn't as good as CeeDee Lamb and wasn't as good as Justin Jefferson. And there's a bunch of receivers that are better than him at this point from that draft. He hasn't really done much.
I remember you talking about Justin Jefferson. You loved him coming out.
He's so good. Like, what are you watching? Like, how do you not think that he's good? Like, how can you not pick him?
Yeah, I just remember you kept saying that you loved him. You thought he was the best receiver in the draft that year. He may have been.
I mean, offensive player of the year. He almost had 2,000 yards receiving this year.
Well, that might be why Thielen didn't get as many catches this year. That kind of might explain it, because the ball, all the passes were going to him. Thielen's still good. I disagree. I disagree about the comment before about Thielen being washed. He's not a bad player.
Well, you could have him in Giants blue all day long.
Yeah, but he's a second. He's a second or third. He's a 2 or a 3 wide receiver. He's not a number 1. The Giants need a number 1 wide receiver.
Well, you can get Thielen and then draft someone.
Well, they might get Beckham, but if Beckham is going to continue to want $20 million, he's not going to get it from the Giants. And I wouldn't give him $20 million. I mean, with all the injuries he's had.
Amon-Ra. I don't think he cares about coming back, honestly. I think if someone pays him his quote that he wants, he'll come back. But he's just going to ask for the moon, and if nobody wants to give it to him, he'll just, I don't know, chill, do whatever.
I agree with you about that.
All right, Brad, have you looked into March Madness at all?
A little bit. I'm very disappointed that Rutgers didn't get picked.
Yeah, but they didn't deserve to get in.
True. Well, but don't forget, a lot of the problem is that they lost their best player in February to he tore an ACL. I can't remember the guy's name, but that was a killer, huh?
But you still got to win. I mean, they lost to Minnesota down the stretch. They got completely railroaded by Michigan, who's not that great in the Big Ten
they beat
tournament.
Michigan, but they beat Michigan at home earlier this season. They beat Purdue. I mean, those are 2 big wins. I think they beat Ohio State as well. They had some good wins this year.
But Ohio State stunk.
Oh, yeah, but for Rutgers to beat them is a big deal for Rutgers. Well, then again, Rutgers' basketball team is not their football team. Their basketball team is much better. It's disappointing because you know what? They were in a position in February before their big guy got hurt to be in the NCAA tournament and actually get a pretty good seed. And then when he got hurt, they just couldn't win after that. I guess they just didn't have enough depth. But my alma mater made it again, fairly.
Yeah, what are they? 16? Where's my bracket?
They're in the play. They got a play-in game tomorrow night
against Texas Southern.
Texas Southern's going to smoke them.
Yeah, what? You guys aren't good?
I don't think I don't think they're very good. No, I was watching them play their championship game in the Northeast against, I think it was Merrimack, and they can't shoot. They can't shoot, and they're lousy free throw shooters. So I mean, you know, the Northeast is what it is. So, and how about for the first time in a million years, we saw the Philadelphia area schools, none of them got into the NCAA. Boy, that doesn't happen.
First time since 1977.
Yeah, that's like almost 50 years ago. So yeah, it was a tough year for the Big Five. But you know what? They've given Philly plenty of thrills and chills over especially Villanova. It just, you know what it does? It points out just how great a coach Jay Wright is.
Their 2 best players missed like the first 2 months of the season. And then when they really started to gel as a team with their new coach, it was just too late. I thought they could make a run in the Big East tournament and maybe steal a bid, but they lost to Creighton in the quarterfinals.
Well, Creighton's a pretty high seed, aren't they?
They're a 6th seed out in the South.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're not that good. I have them losing to Baylor in the second round.
Yeah, I think from the games that I've seen, okay, the best team I've seen this year is Alabama. Now, I don't know. As you know, I don't watch a lot of college basketball, but,
They are very good. They are the number 1 overall seed in the entire tournament.
Okay. Well, I mean, I figured they were a one. I figured they were a 1 seed, but of all the teams I watched, they just seemed to be the best team. So I would think that if I was doing a bracket, that would be the team I would pick to win. Now, I see a lot of people are going with Houston, and are they that good?
They're good. They're a 1 seed.
Legitimate 1 seed?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they've been in the Elite 8. They got the same team as they've had the last 3 years, and they've been the Elite 8 each of the last 2 years.
Okay, so
They
then
might have made a final. They might have made a Final Four last year. I forget.
Wow. Okay. So that's a legit team.
As long as they're I think that they're gonna make it to the Sweet 16 rather easily. They're obviously gonna beat the 16 seed.
Well,
Then they got to play either Iowa or Auburn, which shouldn't be. They got a forward who's pretty good, who is hurt right now, but he might be back. Hopefully, they'll be back.
Now I've seen a lot of people on the UConn train this year. Are they really that good?
I can't stand UConn. I hate their coach. He's always bitching. Always bitching. But
was he
I
worse,
get it.
is he
Trying
worse
to
than
work.
Is he worse than Calhoun used to be? Remember Jim Calhoun?
Yeah, he might be.
He's worse than Jim Calhoun.
Calhoun was bad. You are correct.
Calhoun never stopped.
I mean, this guy's like a maniac. Like from the first whistle of the game to the last whistle of the game. It's like, dude, chill out. You're never gonna get a call if you just bitch the whole time, ever.
Well,
but that's actually a pretty interesting.
Boeheim gets calls, and he never shuts up either.
Yeah, and look where that's got him now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually a pretty interesting first round matchup. UConn's going to play Iona, and if you know anything about Iona, Rick Pitino is their coach.
Really?
And it looks like Rick Pitino is going to be the next coach of St. John's.
I like that. I've seen that, and I saw that before, and I was saying to myself, "Wow, St. John's is finally going to get themselves a good coach, because it's been a long time since they really had a good coach." The last coach I thought was going to be good for them was Mike Jarvis, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, then they had Mullins for a while.
Yeah, but Mullen was a great player, but he never coached anybody before. And all of a sudden, you're putting him in the spotlight in New York City. I mean, that was a bad. That was not a smart hire. They got way too way too high on a guy that used to play there.
Rob must hate Tom Izzo. Yeah, he's another one. He bitches a lot too, but
but he gets the best out of his players.
I'm very anti Big Ten basketball.
I can tell.
Brad, they never do good in the tournament.
That's true.
They always beat each other up. They play this slow, boring pace, and then they get their asses handed to them in the tournament. I don't have one Big Ten. Well, Purdue's going to beat their 16 seed.
Yeah.
But
true.
Then I have them out. I have them out in the second round. So that's the only game I have the Big Ten winning on my bracket is Purdue over either your boys over there at Fairleigh Dickinson or Texas Southern.
Well, that'll be.
I had Northwestern, but everyone on the show last night, we did a little bracket show last night I filled in for Tom, and everyone convinced me that Boise State was good. So I'll just go with the 10 seed.
Okay.
They can score, but I don't know. We'll see if they can be physical. Because the Mountain West, where Boise State plays, they're probably the only team that has conference that has a worse track record recently than the Big Ten.
Who's the best conference now? ACC?
This year, I think it was the Big 12. ACC was down.
Yeah, I saw North Carolina didn't make it, and then
Yeah.
the big babies wouldn't even go into the NIT.
Yeah, they're too good for that.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? You know what? They need to grow up. Rutgers has just as big a bitch about not making the NCAA as North Carolina. You didn't see them not gladly.
North Carolina stunk. They didn't win enough games in a bad conference. Not a bad conference, but a very, very down ACC.
Well, the Big East was better than them.
Big time.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous.
I might even put the Big East. I might even put the Big East second. The Big 12 was really good. Kansas was really good.
Kansas is always good.
Baylor was really good. Texas was really good. They won the conference tournament.
Oklahoma good?
No.
I
thought Oklahoma State should have made it. I thought they should have made it. They didn't get in.
Wow.
Well, you had the play-in game, the first 4 game, which so the winner of Arizona State and Nevada is going to play TCU, who was another Big 12 team that was really good.
Arizona's in a playoff game?
No, Arizona State.
Okay.
Arizona's a 2 seed. They're loaded.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, they've really come down.
I have them in my Final Four over Bama.
Okay.
I just don't want to pick Bama because, like, the way they handled that gun situation with that murder with that kid was just disgusting. It's hard for my morals to get.
Your moral compass says don't go for them.
Yeah, and my moral compass is rarely raised. So if you do something and my moral compass is through the roof, then you fucked up. And that's what
murder kind of is through the roof. So,
well, he brought the gun to his buddy at 3:00 in the morning, and then his buddy went out and killed someone. And then the very next game, the Stunad comes out and he does like the security pat down for his introduction. It's like, dude, come on. And then like the AD's like, nope, we didn't see that. We told him not to do it again. And Nate Oates, their coach, is just like, because he's really good. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA, their best player.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, and they don't care about nothing down there except sports in Alabama.
Okay, and winning.
Here, write your name on this paper. All right, cool, you're in.
Yeah.
Go win games and championships, or at least try to. But yeah, I don't think Arizona State or Nevada should have been in the dance. I thought Clemson and Oklahoma State should have been in. It was an interesting year on the bubble. None of the mid-majors were bubble teams.
I saw Duke was a 5 seed. Boy, that's low for them.
Well, they weren't. They're playing really good now, but they weren't very good in the season. They're kind of
but I'm just saying that's for them. That's really low. That's you don't.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're misseeded. I don't know. Maybe you can make them a 4.
Even so, usually
they are misseeded because Xavier's over here is a 3 seed, and if Xavier and Duke played today, Duke would win. But I have Duke losing their first game to Oral Roberts. It's my sleeper pick, Oral Roberts.
Okay. What about the Zags? Are they good this year?
Yeah, they're in my Final Four.
Okay.
So they got a tough road, though. They're going to have to beat, well, who knows who they're going to have to beat. But as I've prognosticated it, they're going to have to beat TCU, UCLA, and Kansas to get there.
UCLA and Kansas are good. I know that. How back? How back is
UCLA's hurt? UCLA's hurt too. They're missing a starter. He tore his Achilles.
Okay.
So,
oh boy, that's.
If they had that starter, UCLA is fantastic.
Yeah, UCLA is really good.
Frank's checking in with bracket talk. Let's see what he's got. I do not have Bama in my Final Four. I have a feeling that more information about Brandon Miller is going to come out during the tourney. That's why I don't. That's why in the Elite 8, but Bama's really got an easy road to the Elite 8, which they should if they're the number 1 overall seed. So, like, they're going to have to play. I have them playing Virginia in the Sweet 16.
Like, Virginia's always a tough out.
Yeah, but Bama's just too athletic.
Well, as I said, I actually did see them play, and they looked real good, real good. And they
Yeah,
look
a lot
like
of people.
They look like a pro team to me, Alabama. So I'll
A
take
lot of
that for what
people.
it's worth.
I do have Kent State. I have Kent State number 13 seed in my Sweet 16.
Do you
They're
really?
good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I
So
don't think because Indiana's in the Big Ten, and I hate the Big Ten. They're slow and boring, and just get them out of my sight. I don't want to watch them. Kent State, they're athletic and they can really defend,
can
and
they
they can
shoot?
slash and score.
Are they one of those teams that shoot a lot that shoot a lot of
They
threes?
score points. Let me see.
I love low seed teams that can hit threes because they're always dangerous in the
Well,
first. They're
all
always
these
dangerous in the
mid-majors,
first round.
all these mid-majors have guards, right? It's about if they can bang in the paint with the big boys.
Yeah, well,
I think Kent State can. I think
always-
they're athletic enough too. I think they can defend good enough. Indiana is not good offensively, in my opinion. They have a really good big guy that is a borderline All-American, but guards win in the tournament, not big guys. I disagree on the Drake upset. I think Miami has enough to get by Drake in that 12-5 matchup. I do have Charleston over San Diego State as a 12-5, and I have Oral Roberts over Duke.
Okay,
Down
so
19. I will not take a chance on a Big Ten team. I will not do it.
Rob, who's the best player in the country this year? Who's going to be the number one pick?
Well, the number one pick is going to be this Australian dude. He's playing in the G League right now, so he's not playing college. He's not in the tournament.
Okay.
He's not playing college basketball. The best player in college basketball in terms of draft prospect is Brandon Miller, the guy with the gun and all the bullshit on Indiana. He'll probably be top 5, top 10 if he doesn't find himself in jail before that.
They're not going to throw him in jail.
In terms of, yeah, probably not, because they already got the guy that he gave the gun to and killed someone. Like, he's done. They have all the evidence and he's going away. So just end it there because he's good at basketball.
Yeah.
In terms of college players, Gonzaga has Drew Timme. He's a first-team All-American. He's probably not going to do a lick of anything in the pros because he's.
Are there any guys that you could see that are going to be impact players in their first year, real high impact players, like a Zion Williamson type of player, or
I don't even know who's
John Moran kind of player?
Let me look at a mock draft. NBA mockdraft.net. When was this updated? Last updated 3 set. Okay, so kind of. I mean, Nick Smith's a guard on Arkansas, who's an 8 seed. Yeah, an 8 seed. And they have Anthony Black too. But I mean, Arkansas has all this talent and really disappointed in terms of the regular season. He was hurt too. Nick Smith was hurt. Anyway, Arkansas's got a couple of freshmen that are going to get picked pretty high. It's also a weak. They're saying that this is a weak NBA draft.
Okay. Well, that can't be good for a lot of for a lot of NBA teams then. But if guys are playing in the G League, I suppose you could draft them, right?
Yeah, and then there's international people and
right.
See, Nick Smith is back. That's an interesting upset. See, now we're talking about it too much. I talked about it 2 hours last night. Now we're talking about it now, and I'm going to be like Seth Davis and talk my into all these upsets. His last game, so he's back. It's 16 points, 14 points, 25 points. I just don't see them beating Kansas in the second round. And I want to fade Duke. I'm not. No, because I already have Memphis as an 8 seed in my Elite Eight because I can't stand Purdue. That's another guy. Purdue's center. He's like 7 foot. Yeah, this guy. I mean, he's a good basketball player. Like he's 7'2", Purdue center, and he's got feet and he's got moves and he's got skill. But guards just don't take over.
Yeah, for the most part, you're right.
But like, can I really have 2 number 1 seeds lose in the second round?
That's pretty unlikely to happen, though, don't you think?
Because then I would either have to have Arkansas or St. Mary's in the Elite Eight.
That's asking a lot.
I love Arkansas -3 against Illinois in the first round. Frank has Boise over Northwestern. Yeah, Brian Wilson talked me to that. So if Boise State loses, it's his fault. Can't be my fault. It's got to be his fault. Frank, who's your Final Four? I want to see who Frank's Final Four. He watched a lot of college ball. My Final Four is Arizona, Marquette, Houston, and Gonzaga. I have Marquette beating Gonzaga in the final. Nobody's picking Marquette. Nobody's talking about Marquette. They're the Big East regular season champs. They're the Big East conference tournament champs. And all they do is blow teams out. I don't know why people aren't talking about it. They'll probably lose to Vermont in the first game, number 15 seed. Bob Brinkman, he likes Iowa State. Iowa State's down a starter, though. They kicked their third leading scorer off the team late in the season. But they did just beat –
What did he do?
Oh, who knows? Who knows?
Well, Marquette is a number 2 seed. I mean, they should be getting a little bit more respect.
I love them. They play up tempo. They press. They got good guards. The Chargers, there's Don with some breaking news. Chargers signed Eric Kendricks.
I was hoping the Giants would try to get him. Oh, well. Chargers need him, too. The Chargers do need help on defense.
I don't know. I'm trying not to tinker with my bracket because it's already different. I already got to make so many changes because I have Houston here.
So the matchup with Gonzaga and UCLA, because it looks like that's going to be a matchup. Who would you like in that game?
I like Gonzaga because UCLA is missing a starter, and a significant starter. He started 30 of 31 games before he got hurt, and he's one of the finalists for the best defensive player in all of college basketball. So it's a big loss. But UCLA is battle tested. They have a great coach. They have great point guard. So all bets are off in March. All bets are off. Anything can happen.
Yeah, well, we've seen that.
St. Peter's almost made the Final Four last year in Philly. It was crazy.
St. Peter's had one heck of a year last year. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I love Oral Roberts. I love Oral. And I hate Duke. So that's a trifecta right there.
Everybody hates Duke.
Unless you love Duke and then you're like over the top Duke. I just don't understand people who didn't go to Duke or have no affiliation with Duke that are just diehard Duke fans. I don't get it.
Because they're front runners. That's why.
I guess. I mean, Coach K, he was a good coach and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pitt, that must be an insult for Pitt to have to make it as a first 4 team. I mean, that's a team that's had a lot of
super borderline selection as well. Their whole team is. I actually kind of like them to win that game against Mississippi State because Mississippi State can't shoot worth a lick.
Has Pitt ever been able to shoot? I mean, they've never been a good offensive team. They've always been a bunch of grinders.
Well, that was but the culture's a little different now because their coach for a lot of years, Jamie Dixon, he's at TCU now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Many years now.
And I just
So
remember
basically,
them
Pitt's a
going
bunch of 24-year-old fifth-year seniors.
Oh, jeez. Oh, so
And-
in other words, they're cheating to begin with. Then
I mean, yeah,
I never liked the idea. I never
if
liked
you
the
were
idea.
cheating,
They're not cheating, but you know what I mean. I never liked the idea of fifth-year seniors being able to play because they're older. I mean, it's not really fair.
and then they lost by like 35 to Duke in the game they got eliminated in the ACC tournament. They just got they lost like 9. They lost by 30, so they might bounce back. Maybe make some noise. I think that. So
What
it's
about
like the
Kentucky?
last.
What can we make out of Kentucky? They've always had a good team, but you know they're a 6th seed this year.
I have them losing to Providence in the first round. It's funny because Providence's best player, Brad, is a Kentucky transfer, Bryce Hopkins.
Really?
He's pretty good. And, kind of Duke got all the recruits last recruiting class.
Right.
We're all starting to play good, and they're peaking at the right time, potentially. Next year, Kentucky has them all. They got the kid from Camden, who's the number 1 recruit, and his teammate, who's like the number 3 recruit.
So now I'm looking. Iona is the only New York area team in New York or New Jersey to make the
no Seton
NCAA.
Hall, no Syracuse, no St. John's.
Yep. No Rutgers, no Villanova. I mean, it's like the whole like New York.
I have them beating UConn. If that makes you feel any better.
Oh, that would be great. I would love to see that. I just remember when Jeff Ruland used to coach that team. Jeff Ruland used to be a deranged NBA player for the Wizards when they were. I think he played for them when they were the Bullets. But he was one tough player, and he had that team playing tough all the time. Iona. But boy, the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area did not have a good year in college basketball.
Yeah, we got snubbed.
Yeah, we all have to play a lot better next year. It's no fun. It's no fun to even watch when none of those teams are in it. I mean, there's nobody to root for or root against. I mean, you could always root against Duke because we all hate Duke. I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of it. I used to always root for Dean Smith to beat Krzyzewski. So, just one of those things.
Wow, this really is. Marcus Sasser is the guy. He's the guard for Houston. He's the guy that's banged up. They're going to need him to beat. They're going to need him to potentially win a championship, but they'll be okay for a while. It's not a strong bracket up there in the Midwest. But yeah, this is a weak draft. Not a good draft.
So
Have a top
that's a shame.
Bunch of French guys. Yeah, who cares? All right, baseball. Any thoughts? Did you watch Team USA last night, Brad? Get absolutely smoked by Mexico?
That was embarrassing, and that was awful. I mean, they're going to have to play better tonight, or it's going to be.
I don't understand what DeRosa is doing with the lineup card. I mean, you're playing Great Britain in the first game. I mean, that's a gimme. Great Britain.
Right. Great Britain stinks. Yeah, he's trying to. I don't understand why he's trusting top players. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, are you trying to win or not?
Well, there's because Juan Soto is not allowed to play 2 days in a row because the Padres won't let him for Dominican. So maybe there's stuff like that. But like last night, Alonso's at DH. Nick Martinez started. First off, another thing, we can't get one freaking stud U.S. pitcher to come in and be the ace.
That's a problem.
Like you can't get Garrett Cole or Corbin Burns or Verlander or Scherzer or Dylan Cease or
None of the
one of these
managers will.
guys come in
None
and
of the
be the
managers
ace.
will. None of the managers will let their guys go. I mean, Boone wouldn't even let Nestor Cortez go, and Nestor Cortez ended up getting hurt anyway.
Well, anyway, the throwaway game is against Great Britain. So put Tim Anderson at shortstop against Great Britain. Like, let Will Smith catch against Great Britain. Like, against Mexico, the second best team in your pool, you're going to start a bullpen guy. Basically
Right.
a bullpen guy.
And he's not really that good to begin with.
And you're gonna bench the Phillies. I know it sounds like a homer there, but they all raked in the first game against Great Britain. Kyle Schwarber hit a home run. But like, really, you're gonna not play your best hand against Mexico?
Yeah,
and you're just gonna ride. You're gonna ride with all the freaking guys they have on this team. Like you're just gonna pencil Jeff McNeil in at second base because he's the only natural second baseman on the team.
Well, I mean, Jeff McNeil can hit. I mean, he's.
I understand, but who would you rather have at second base? Jeff McNeil or Trey Turner? Jeff McNeil or Bobby Witt Jr.? Jeff McNeil or Mookie Betts? No, the answer to none of those, any of those.
None of those questions are Jeff McNeil. No, you're right. But Jeff McNeil can play anywhere.
This is not real. This is not real life.
No.
Like this is Xbox Super Team All-Star Game shit. But you want to go to bat?
I think everybody. I think all these teams don't want their guys playing 2 days in a row because they're afraid they're going to get hurt.
Then flip it. Play freaking Tim Anderson and start Nick Martinez and let Will Smith catch against Great Britain.
Well, no, what they should do is play it after the World Series. That's when they should be playing this stuff.
Not spring training?
No, not in spring training.
Interesting.
Because you know what? Because at the end of the season, well, the only problem with that is though that these guys haven't pitched in 30 days. And then you're bringing them back after a long season.
You still have pitch limits, though. Like,
yeah, I suppose.
I've been enjoying watching it. Puerto Rico is up on Israel right now.
Yeah, they're ahead 9-0. I'm watching that game too.
And then USA versus Canada tonight. Mark DeRosa better freaking get this done because if the U.S. is eliminated in pool play, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, that cannot happen.
I wonder if we'll see if the lineups are.
Who's pitching for
Canada's got some. I would assume Lance Lynn's going to start.
All right, so at least we have a decent pitcher pitching tonight. We have a real starter, but how many innings is he going to go to?
So he can go 65. 3? He can go 65 pitches in the first round max.
All right, so that's 3 or 4 innings. Probably 4 innings top.
All right, the U.S. lineup tonight. This is more like it. This is a good lineup, I think, because that stupid bet Jeff McNeil's not in it. So you got Betts leading off. Trout's DHing tonight. Interesting. Goldschmidt's at first. Arenado's at third base, who's been hitting really well. Kyle Tucker's in left. Tim Anderson at second base. I like that. Realmuto's catching. Trey Turner's at shortstop in the 8 hole. Trey Turner's the 8 hitter on this team. You might get eliminated in pool play. And
who bats ninth?
Baltimore Oriole. Cedric
Mullins.
That's like having tonight.
That's like having oh my god, that's like having 2 leadoff hitters though. Cedric Mullins is a speedster that also has some power.
Who's pitching? Lance Lynn's pitching, just like I said. But Canada's got some heads. They have Tyler O'Neill from the Cardinals. Freddie Freeman's on Team Canada.
Freddie Freeman is Canadian?
Who knows? Tommy Edmonds on Team Korea. So, some of this stuff makes no sense. Marcus Stroman The USA won last year, or last time they had it, pitching for Team USA. Now he's on the Dominican team or the Puerto Rican team. I forget which one.
So these guys just pick where they want to play.
Yeah, they just have dual citizenship, and it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Got it. So that's a little weird, but okay. Boy, I'll tell you what, the Dominican Republic, boy, do they have a good team.
I'll tell you what, Venezuela is really good. I mean, they have leadoff hitter Jose Altuve and second hitters Ronald Acuna Jr. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Salvador Perez is on that team. They're a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, our team should win. Our team has by far the most talent. Jeez.
Big time, especially from the lineup. I mean, Dominicans actually might have a deeper lineup.
Cedric Mullins batting ninth, though?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now you got Trout DHing, so Mullins can play center field. Betts is in right.
That's not a bad idea. Mullins is a tremendous player.
I mean, Betts is in right, Tucker's in left from the Astros. Arenado and Goldschmidt are been Gold Glovers their entire year.
Yeah, they're also outstanding hitters.
And Tim Anderson and Trey Turner up the middle. And the best catcher in the league is their catcher. They better win.
Yeah,
they're monster favorites. They're probably monster favorites because I never heard of Canada's pitcher.
Well, who's on Canada besides Freeman and Tommy Edman?
No, Edmonds on Korea.
Oh, okay. So who besides Freeman is on Canada?
Well, Tyler O'Neill, he's on the Cardinals.
He's okay, but
Abraham Toro is on their team.
He stinks.
Bo Naylor is a catcher on the Indians. I think he's on the Indians.
Yeah, he is. He's okay.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully Lance Lynn can shut them down.
So in other words, they're not a big time team either.
Not really. They are 1-0 in the competition.
Yeah, that's a better record than our team.
I would assume they beat Columbia. Columbia is dreadful.
Yeah, they don't really have too many pros from Columbia.
All right, any thoughts on the MLB before we get out of here? Basketball, what's on your mind, Brad? What didn't we get to tonight that you would like to talk about?
Well, I would like to talk about the NBA a little bit because it's starting to get very interesting in the.
It is starting to get very interesting.
The Sixers have been red hot, and you have to wonder maybe this is finally going to be their year. I mean, it looks like Harden has picked up his game to a new level, and Embiid, of course, is Embiid. And they're looking real strong. If they can just keep that team healthy, I mean, they could beat anybody.
You're not tricking me, Brad. I see what you're trying. You're trying to bait me. You're trying to bait me. You're trying to bait me into believing in the Sixers. But the Sixers, until I see them in the Eastern Conference Finals, are going to fall short of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, if they're a 3 seed or a 2 seed, then they don't have to play. If they're a 3 seed or a 2 seed, they're going to have to play the Celtics.
The only way they get to the
Bucks.
Eastern, the only way the Sixers get to the Eastern Conference Finals is if they're the 1 seed. Only way.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to win that division because they can't. If they play Boston and Milwaukee, that's too much to ask.
Even if they are the 1 seed, I will still be super skeptical and super nervous that they're going to just screw the pooch like the Cowboys and the Chargers and the Jets and all these other teams do year after year. It's the same book every year. Why would I expect it to have a different ending this year? I'm pulling up the standings right now because that's your only hope is to get the 1 seed because you're not beating Boston in a 7-game series and you're not beating Milwaukee.
Well, especially if you have to play them back to back. That's
Milwaukee's
impossible.
the 1 seed right now, 48-19. Boston, 47-21. They're the 2 seed. Then you got the Sixers down there, 1.5 games back of Boston. So you gotta get to the 1 seed. So you play Cleveland or Brooklyn in the second round. As it stands right now, your Knicks could get up there. Knicks with a big win last night over the Lakers.
Over the Lakers. Yeah, they almost blew it in the fourth quarter when they blew that lead when the Lakers scored 12 points in a row. It was very, very nerve-wracking. But then they bounced back. I'll tell you what, Julius Randle is playing at a unbelievable
He's
level
playing
this
unbelievable. He really is playing unbelievable. And the
I
Knicks, that was a really good trade with Josh Hart. But
yeah, he's been. It's not just the scoring. He's just a good all around player. He's not a star, but they needed a really good role player on this team, and they finally got one. You know, he can hit a three. He can play defense. He's a pretty good passer. You know, and he's just a reliable player. That's kind of what they needed.
I just can't buy into the Knicks beating Cleveland, Philadelphia, Boston, or Milwaukee in a series.
I think they could beat Cleveland.
I think you're out of your mind.
Well, when they get Brunson back, that'll help. I mean, that's why they've been losing lately because Brunson's been hurt. You know, and that does
lately. I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10. They're not losing that much, and they beat Boston without Brunson.
Oh, I know. No, I know that. That was the game. That was the game.
Oh, that wouldn't that be just freaking spectacular if you beat the Celtics in a 7-game series in the first round? That would be just fantastic. That's probably the only time I'll root for a New York team ever in my life. If that
would be.
Well, I will be rooting. That's not fair either because I will be rooting for your Rangers in the NHL playoffs. I got a futures bet on them to win the cup.
Well, they better start playing better. I'll tell you what. I never thought that losing Ryan Lindgren would have such a negative effect on that team, but they are. Adam Fox just looks lost without him.
They'll get it together. They got a good goalie. They had a good deadline. I'm in on the Rangers.
They did.
I'm about it.
I think they have a 5-game homestand now. And what amazes me is they just went on a 3-game road trip. Okay, they get 5 out of 6 points, and everybody's screaming, "What? You didn't get 6 out of 6? What's your?" I mean, are we really that? Are New York fans really that demanding and that ridiculous?
Yes.
That,
Yes, they are.
I mean, Jesus Christ!
When you have expectations in New York or Philadelphia or Boston or one of these cities, and you fall even a little bit short, you're getting crushed by everyone.
Yeah, but when you're playing back-to-back games again, you're in Buffalo, and Buffalo is always a tough game for the Rangers. They usually beat Buffalo, but Buffalo is a desperate team. You have to play them, and it ends up being an overtime game. And then you're at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's another desperate team, and you come back and tie the game in the third period, and then you lose in overtime. And the Rangers are getting killed for losing that game. Now they lost because Panarin made a stupid play. Takes a penalty in the offensive zone in overtime on a 3-on-3. It was a lazy tripping penalty.
My counter argument to that is individual Rangers fans, meaning smart ones, individuals are smart, and they realize that you lost the game and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah,
groups of people are stupid.
They are.
That's where the panic comes in.
Yeah,
the same way in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean the Rangers, unfortunately, right now are either are in third place. Okay, no matter what they do, it's almost impossible for them to come in to not make the playoffs. They're probably they're way ahead as far as being in third place. They're way behind second place. They're kind of in a complacent kind of a situation, so they kind of have to self-motivate themselves. You know what I mean? It's a weird position to be in, but they're not going to not make the playoffs. I mean, they're like 15 points ahead of the last playoffs, ahead of the team that's in ninth place. There's no way they're not going to make the playoffs.
Hockey playoffs are just like the NCAA tournament. If you get in, you got a shot.
Well, if you remember the Canadians, I remember when I told you about I told you I thought the Canadians could win that one year and they got to the finals.
Yeah, if you get a hot goalie,
Yeah,
all bets are
Carey
off.
Price. Carey Price was unbelievable that year.
Remember John Sebastian Giguère?
Yep.
He won MVP. He won MVP and they lost.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was unbelievable in that series, though. I think he was on Anaheim, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that happens. That happens, and this guy McDavid is having a Gretzky type of season. If you watch him,
He's unreal.
He is the closest thing to Gretzky that I've seen in a long, long time. I mean,
He's got like 100 points already, right?
He's got 155.
155. What's he got? How many goals does he have? Like 80 goals, right?
No, he has 55 goals now in 60 games. I mean, he's going to score like 75 goals, and he's got a legitimate shot at 180, 190 points. And the only guys that ever did that were Gretzky and Lemieux.
Pretty good company.
Yeah, Crosby never did that. As good as Crosby is, he never came close to that.
Crosby just wins all the time.
Yeah. I thought it was cute yesterday that every time Jason Trouba touched the puck, the Pittsburgh fans were booing him. You know why? Because he had the nerve to hit poor Crosby last year in the playoffs.
Oh, my God. They don't like that.
No, God forbid. Sidney Crosby can go around, fighting.
They used to hate Giroux. The Penguins fans, Giroux would just lay him out like once a game.
Yeah,
Giroux
well, he goes
really
after
good.
guys half his size like Giroux, and then when
he runs away.
When Trouba comes and sends him flying, he talks, and then when it's time to fight, he runs and lets somebody else take over his fight. Big chicken. But yeah, that's kind of what I had in my mind. Yankees, of course, with a lot of injuries now, it kind of sucks. They've lost Rodon for opening. Rodon will probably not be back till I would think the middle of April, so we won't get him for the Philly series. I don't know what's going on with Nestor Cortez right now because nobody's saying anything about it.
I need to write this down. We got fantasy draft. We got a lot of stuff going on. What pick do you have in the draft? What pick do you have in the draft?
The second one.
Second pick.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like picking that high. Really don't.
You get your pick of the litter. I already know that my buddy Dennis has first pick, and he's picking Trey Turner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then I can pick Aaron Judge.
There you go. Yeah, I don't think the pitchers are going to get as many points with the new rules.
No, I don't think so either. And you know what? There's so many good pitchers right now. I took a look at my spots, and I'm figuring that I'll probably get the guy in the Braves. I forget Fried, and that I could still get Fried and Logan Webb, and I'd be happy to have them as my number 1 and number 2 pitchers. That I don't have to pick Garrett Cole or Burns or any of these pitchers to be in my first round pick. That would be a very bad pick, in my opinion.
Right.
There's no more shifts allowed. You're not going to see as many strikeouts now.
Well, you see, now they're bringing the left fielder around to make the shift.
Yeah,
playing with 2 outfielders.
That's extremely dumb. Everybody's going to get burned doing that.
Someone will get burnt, and that'll be that.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to give up a inside the park home run to try to stop a single. Pretty dumb. All right, Robert. Yes.
Let's get out of here. Thank you to our great sponsors. Thank you to our great listeners. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. We'll be back better than ever next Monday night. Until then, peace out.